Welcome back to FMJeeping. My name is Mark, and today we're going to be reviewing the Arccaptain Mig200 welder. So once again, Arccaptain reached out to me, decided to send me a machine and asked me what I wanted to do, and I wanted a machine that could kind of do everything. So I decided on the Mig200, which is a multi-process machine. It should be able to do stick, lift, TIG, and MIG, but let's dive right in. Let's do the quick unboxing, and then we'll get into the all the fun stuff. So let's go over really quick what we got here. We got the machine, got some warranty cards, we got a bag with a bunch of rollers, some extra nozzles, some extra tips, a torch wrench, a pretty heavy-duty MIG torch, which I'm kind of excited about. That is a European connection, so that's good. They gave an extra supply hose from the tank, a stinger for the wire, for stick feed, ground, and I also got a welding hood. Let's take a look at this. All right, pretty cool. It's a little loud, but you know, whatever. We'll take a look and try that out. All right, so let's just take a quick look at the machine. This is a pretty light machine. I mean, obviously I don't have it loaded up, but it will take the 10-pound spools and the 2-pound spools. It looks like, once again, I'm just pulling this out of the box. It's got a wheel. I gotta see what that's set up for, but also they included a couple other wheels. Actually, they included 3 other wheels. I'll have to see what these are here in a minute. There's a knurled one, which is most likely for flux, and a couple other sizes. And it looks like this will take up to 0.023 wire all the way up to 0.04. So this will do some heavy-duty stuff. It will do aluminum, stainless, and steel, which is good. I think the aluminum most likely would have to be a TIG or a spool. We'll get into that in a minute. This is all metal. The only part that is plastic is the feed, the retaining nut for the wheel, and the actual tension knob, but the lever is metal. Everything else seems to be at least metal on the mechanism. The mounting part is plastic though. But overall, so far so good. Alright, now in the front of the machine we have the display, which is you can set all the modes, all the settings and whatnot. We have the Euro torch connection. This is a connection for the spool gun, if I'm not mistaken. Then we have, I'm gonna put this back on. Then we have the positive output, negative output, and then we have a polarity changeover plug. On the back we have all the electrical listings, a fan, serial, air inlet for your gas, on-off switch. So on the machine, it's pretty much kind of a DIY's go-to machine. It does all the different functions: TIG, MIG, stick, spool, so it'll kind of cover the gambit. On the inside, we got the cover that kind of goes over everything you need. It tells you the type of material you're going to be welding, the type of wire that you're going to be welding, the suggested drive roller, the polarity, which is this changeover plug, which is what I like. I'll cover that in a second. Suggested gas flow rate if you're using gas, the suggested, or the what wire thickness you're using, and then you know, the volts and amps and all that other good stuff, wire feed speed, and then also has the polarity change on how it's supposed to be hooked up, whole bunch of stuff. So I have this plugged into the wall, and it has the smart identifier. It tells me it's 110 voltage, and that's what's displayed. And let this cycle in. Okay, so we also have our modes. We have stick, lift, TIG, MIG spool, and MIG with the torch. Something that stood out that I really like too is on my Hobart, I needed to go inside the box, take a bolt, and change polarity if I was going to switch to flux core or if I was going to go to the spool. But this machine has this ability. You can switch the polarity by doing nothing more than that. Boom, done. So I'm going to be doing MIG welding here. So I'm going to hook this up, hook up my torch, hook my ground up to ground, and we should be good to go. All right, so enough talking for now. Let's get going. I'm going to throw some. I think I got 035 wire, and we'll do some welding. Alright, so I got everything all hooked up. Going to be using my spare bottle here. This is just my backup in case my 300 runs out. Although my 300 is strapped to my cart, I don't feel like messing with that right now. One thing I am going to change up on this is I'm not going to use the supplied hose, for the reason being that my old hose is stuck in my regulator, and I've already kind of rounded the bolts enough that I'm going to just stop, and we'll use my my normal line that goes to my other welder. I didn't feel like messing with that too much. And everything I'm going to do is going to be run on 220 going forward, as you can see my cord, and we'll keep everything right here on my workbench. Everything's hooked up. We got the torch, the polarity set the right way. I got my ground. Let's fire this thing up. It should kick to 220, which it does. Awesome. We're on MIG. I want this to be synchronized, right? It's synchronized, which means the volts and the amps will stay the same. And what I want to do is I've got 035 wire. I've got my V-roller in there as suggested. So I got everything all set up, all the welder set up, the gas, I set up the settings. I'm going to do, I think, 1/8 inch. Yep, so I'm doing 1/8 inch. This is the first time I've tried this, so let's see what happens. All right, got all my PPE, just need my gloves. All right, let's see what we get. Clean arc, but man, that was bright. Let's darken this up a little bit. Holy hell. Okay, let's try that. Take a look. Pretty clean. I could probably run a little hotter, but that's pretty good for the first pass. Let me dial it up just a hair. I'm going to keep it synced. I'm going to keep it synced. I'm going to go up to, yeah, okay. We'll try it again. I tried my weaving pattern a little bit different, but I really like it. Very low splatter. It burns a little hot. I felt like this one was a little pecky in a couple spots, like it was losing, but I like it. Let's take a look. Well, it's burned all the way in for sure. And actually, it looks like my second bead had way better penetration. Okay. Cool. Alright, so this is 10 gauge. We're going to just run a bead on this, only because I don't want to cut this. I got this kind of saved for something else. I'm just going to do a small bead here on the side and see how it lays out. It's a little high. I kind of want to take it down. Let's try that. Good penetration. Smooth beads. Still a little puffy for me, but not bad, not bad. Let's go to 3/16. Woo! Okay. Okay, I screwed up the angle on that one. But still felt pretty good. I got the Dumbo ear going. So try it on the other side. A little better angle on it. See if I can clean that up. I accidentally let off the trigger right here. You can see, but nice and smooth. I mean, this is a very forgiving welder. I've with my Hobart, there's been times where it's been real picky, and if I'm not perfect, it doesn't lay down good beads. But I mean, this one I kind of screwed around and got pretty good stuff. The beads come out looking a little differently each time. I haven't had I would call a horrendous bead. I haven't had any porosity. I mean, anything that has happened, I created on my own by either like letting go of the trigger or screwing up on the angle of the drag. But I mean, it's pretty solid. Let's see if I can do quarter. And I think it is rated to quarter, and it's a 180 machine in MIG. So just something to keep in mind too. It's a 200 machine in TIG, but it only goes up to I believe 180 on the MIG feature, which is actually, I mean, if you're like me in the garage, you're doing stuff on Jeeps, that should be able to do quarter all day long, and quarter is typically what we see the most of. So, yeah, so let me clean up the quarter, and we'll buzz the quarter. All right, so in the sync mode, which keeps the wire speed appropriate to the volts, it won't let me do what I need to do quarter inch. So I took the sync off, set it for what I think we should be at, and I'm gonna give it a go. So let's see what happens. Hard to see, but it did penetrate in. I was probably moving a little fast there. I got a little bit of the Dumbo ear, but I don't want to see what happens if I go up. I want to increase the wire speed just a hair, increase the volts just a hair, and let's go. Okay, so I did a different weave this time. Pretty flat on the arc. It's hard to see, but it did burn in. Did burn all the way through. Got myself a nice little fishy. I have such a bad case of the put it downs and forget where I put it. I have a metal gauge that tells me the thickness of metal, and now I can't find it anywhere. So just put it down. Alright, so I'm kind of working backwards here, so I kind of went on the thicker stuff. Now I'm going to go to the thinner stuff. I've heard that this machine will actually weld sheet, even with 0.35 wire, which is what I'm running. So I dialed it back, running 16 gauge. I'm going to spot it once or twice, or tack it in place. I'm going to try to run a small bead. This also does have a tack welding feature, which kind of sets the automatic feed and everything. All you gotta do is pull the trigger and I think let it go. But we'll test that feature in one more second. Wow. I normally burn through on this stuff, especially if I try to run a bead. Now I was moving really fast, but I also had to kind of adjust for the metal here. Whew. Let's see if I can do that again. So I found its Achilles heel. The gap was just a little too big and it started burning into it. And I did overheat the metal just a little bit, so it kind of overlapped. And of course now, I can't do nothing more than a lap. So we're gonna try lapping it. Yep, lapped it just fine. Nice and flat too. Okay. You know what? This has got a spot weld feature. Let's turn that on. I'm kind of interested to see what this looks like. All right. No judgment. Cool. Okay. My two little dots here. You just pull the trigger, hold it, and it shuts it off, post-gassed it, and everything. Cool. So that's a cool little feature, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of sheet metal and you want to tack it in place without overheating it. I got the welder out. I feel like messing around. I'm going to see if I can get this 3/16 to weld fairly well to this 16 gauge. Just because I feel like messing around. So let's try it. Because I have had to do this before. When I was doing rock sliders on my Jeep here, I had to weld 3/4 inch or 3/16, sorry, 3/16 to literally paper thin sheet from the factory, and it was rather not enjoyable. So let's give this a shot. Oh, come on. I overheated just a tad. I was going too fast. Good weld up into the point though. Alright, let's try it again. I did again. Same spot. Same spot. Once again, the burn is not, that's not on the welder. In fact, actually, I think the weld is amazingly good. The fact is that there's a little hole here. It's not perfectly flush. When I went in, I overheated. I missed the thicker metal, and I went to the sheet. All right, you know what? This will prove it once for all. If what try it again. How's this one right here? That is mint. I love it. I love it. This is so awesome. So freaking good. I absolutely love it. That's the one I just laid. Oh man. Wow. Loving this thing. All right, so right out of the box, I gotta say, from a MIG standpoint, this welder is pretty good. It's definitely impressed me. I mean, it's super forgiving. I screwed up in a couple different places and the weld still came out really well. And I mean, I didn't prep it any better than I would prep my Hobart. I haven't got an ounce of porosity. I have very little spatter. I mean, like, it's, once again, this is dirty metal, guys. I cleaned it up just where I'm welding. And I got pretty solid welds. It's like I said, it's forgiving. Like, I kind of wish this machine was out when I started welding, because, you know, I got super defeated when I first started to learn how to weld, because, you know, I was getting really bad spatter, no penetration, things like that. And like this thing, like, as long as you set it up right and there's a guide to do that, it lays beads. I mean, what more can I say? I mean, once again, you guys saw it. There are no camera tricks here. Like, the first time I welded and everything that I did weld, I welded on camera. And that's it. I mean, there's only two things that happened really that I can't, but really can explain, is that was the burn through when I did the large metal to the thin metal. And that was my own fault, because there was a little bit of a gap in the metal, and I overheated the sheet metal. But kind of knowing that, I'd probably do 1.5 to 2 inch long beads, and then just kind of stitch them together. But I mean, the welds went on amazing, super smooth, very flat, and like even. So what more can you ask for? Now, I might be playing with fire here, literally. I have some sticks from an old welder kicking around, so I might try the stick feature. Now, I just got to preface this. I'm not a stick welder. I've only gotten a bead to lay once, and that was it. So let me, I'm curious. All right, let's see what happens. Different, very different, but I will say, the last time I tried to get an arc started, it took me about 5 minutes longer than that, so not bad. Let's, I said, I'm kind of curious. I think I'm supposed to, I'm going to try pulling this time. So needless to say, I got to practice stick welding a little bit more. It definitely takes a little bit more than what I've got right now, but I can say that it does fire up a lot easier than my other welder. Starting an arc was pretty easy. Unfortunately, I'm also not in the position right now to do any spool welding or TIG. I don't have the torch, and the spool got lost in the mail. But, you know, right off the clip, for what they would call a DIY welder, I would say that this is not a bad rig. Like I said, it does everything. So before I close this video out, I just want to send a big thank you out to Arccaptian for sending me this machine to test out and play with and to share with you guys. I have to say it's a very solid machine coming out the gate. It will cover pretty much 95% of what you need to do. Like I said, it covers aluminum, steel, cast, and it also does MIG, flux, TIG, spool, stick. I mean, you name it. If you like, it'll pretty much do everything you need in one small package. I do have a small disclaimer. Earlier on in the video, I did say that this is a $500 machine, and I was kind of right in an aspect. That was the fully loaded machine with all the extra attachments and things like that, like the spool gun and the TIG gun and things like that. This machine, kind of with the MIG torch ready to go, is $370 right now, if I remember correctly. I just checked it a couple minutes ago. That is a great price point to kind of get into welding, so it's not bad. And not only that, I believe you can even use that 5% discount that Arccaptian's giving us on top of that. So go ahead, check out the comments section below, use that. And with that being said, I just want to say thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of it, and we'll catch you on the next one.